material comprises of several categories. It provides form controls, it provides navigation related controls, it provides layout related controls, it provides buttons and indicators, indicators, and it will provide even pop-ups and models. Models are like dialogues, right? And it even provides data tables, right? So many types of components are present. That means categories are present. In every category, so many controls are present. Like you have autocomplete. You have in the form controls like checkbox. You have like date picker. We have a form field like this. So many components are there. We have like input. So we have like radio button. We have like select. We have sliders. We have a slide toggle. So many. All these different types of components are present and available here, right? So these are all the various types of options available, and in every category there are so many. In the navigation you will find menu. In the navigation you will find the side navigation, side nav bar. You will find even the toolbars also, just like your Bootstrap. In the layouts you will find like card, you will find like divider, you will find like expansion panel. All these are present. You even have like a grid list, right? You have like tabs, so many. So buttons, indicators, every category has so many things. So it is a very huge library for developers to implement and handle all these types of components. I'm going to show you few components, and other components you can try by yourself, right? Once you know the approach, then rest of the things you need to explore by yourself. Let's see how we can do that, how we can work with that. I will show you some few important examples. Like, let's see one material autocomplete. How to use a material autocomplete and how do we work with material autocomplete. So in order to use the materials libraries, there are so many steps here. That means using material components requires the following steps actually. So if you want to use the material components, it requires some important steps. First important is you have to import the component related library into app.module. That is the first step you have to do. App module. Into the app module.ts file, you have to first import the component related library. So example, I'm showing you first steps here. For example, I want to use a input control. Input control means input type text, input type checkbox, input type radios, like that. I want to use input control. Then what we have to do is we have to import from what we need to import, which module you want. So suppose I want mat input module. I want mat input module from which library? Actually, Angular material library will be @Angular /material slash and the control related class. That is input. That is how we have to configure it. That is how we need to configure it. The first step is you have to import the component related library into app module. You have to import that related library into the module. After that, second step is you have to register the module. And you know where to register the modules. All modules are registered at which location? All modules are registered at which location? You know where to register the module now? Yeah, all the modules are registered in ng module imports. Am I right? ng module imports. All the modules are defined in ng module imports. That means in the ng module, so what we have to do, we have a imports. Am I right? Imports, you have to import that module. What is the module? Mat input module. That is how we have to import the module. Every module that you want to use, you have to work with that, right? You have to import that. Every module that you want to use, you have to import that module. Okay, after importing the module, so now what you can do is, so the first step, you have to import the library. After that, you have to import the module. Then here, another important point is you need to understand that in order to use every mat component contains a selector. Every mat component contains a selector and attributes. It contains selector and attributes. So what you have to know is, as a developer, when you are implementing any component, you need to know about the selector name and you need to know about the attributes for that component. So every mat component contains a selector name and attributes. You have to use them. You need to know about them. Then only you can use them. Generally, so how the selector will be selector, that means how the selector will be. Selector will be like this. Usually selector will be like mat hyphen, and it will be like input like this. That will be the selector. And usually attribute will be like mat input, that is an attribute. So what is this attribute? This allows Angular to bind its value to that model. Actually, this is the model reference. So model, this is like model, understood? It is like model. So that means it contains the information, it contains the configuration about this input related options. So for every component, so generally in order to utilize it and use it perfectly, you need to have the collection of all these things. So you have to first import, and then you have to register, and then you have to know the selectors. So when you know the selectors, now what you have to do is go to HTML and inject. How you can inject into HTML? So you have to use input, then you can use mat input. This is how we have to access the selector. You know how to access the selectors. We need to configure in this way. And the attributes are defined like mat input. That is the attributes, how we configure them. Attribute values, how we can use them. We will see some examples, we will understand about that. So I hope everyone understood the approaches, what to do, approach. Up to this, everyone is clear? Up to this, everyone is clear? Up to this, everyone is clear? So that means you are clear in understanding the process, what you need actually to configure and set up the environment, right? Yes, good. Now let's start designing some components and work with the components. Let's see designing and working with the components. Let's check that. Few simple examples I will show you. So material, autocomplete, how we can configure autocomplete for material, configuration of material autocomplete. So many controls or components are there. One simple example here. So actually autocomplete allows to choose any option. So by providing suggestions while typing, while keying in, you can say keying in characters into input element.